Okay, well, welcome everybody. And welcome to the start of your exploration, your study, learning about the seven rays. The seven rays are some of the most fundamental and important things we can learn about ourselves. So what we're doing when we're studying the seven rays is we're undertaking this study that's called esoteric psychology. And it's really about observing who we are. Each one of us is a remarkable miracle of creation. We have in us all those seven rays usually, and we also have our own astrology. And combined together, they make us this wonderful, amazing, unique person that we are. So I'm really delighted here to have one of my good friends and teachers, Eva Smith. Eva is really, since the death of Michael Robbins, one of the world's experts really in the seven rays. So we're really delighted to have her. And although she's going to be taking us through it in a very, kind of beginner's way, which she can do very, very beautifully, this is only the start of your study. The study of the rays is a lifelong study, and it's also a lifelong study of ourselves. So congratulations for beginning this journey. Eva is a teacher. She was one of my teachers at the university, first of all, at the Center for Esoteric Studies, and then later at the University of the Seven Rays. She's a teacher at Moria Federation, which is an online esoteric college. And she's very, very experienced in teaching people about astrology and about the rays. Welcome, Eva.
Thank you for this wonderful introduction, really. Thank you. Okay, so as many of you have kind of looked at this, it's a very full weekend. And usually at the beginning, I used to offer Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And okay, so here are the names of the seven rays. We'll go into where they're coming from and what these names represent, but I'm going to go through a lot of these slides rather quickly. So if there's anything you don't understand, because I've moved through them very quickly, if we're going to get it done in 2 days, please just shout out, okay? So the names, we'll go over them very, very specifically, but here are all the seven names, and the colors match the quality that each name represents. So that's why they're color coded. So the seven rays stream to us from the Great Bear, the stars of the Great Bear, the Ursa Major. They come into our system through that, and then they go into the sun, and then the rays move out into the various planets and so on. Here's another presentation of the Big Dipper, the Ursa Major. It is said that our system is one of 7 suns, so our sun is one of 7. In mythology, there's been a lot of talk about the Great Bear, the Big Dipper, but we're not going to go into any of this right now. Just giving you an overview rather quickly to say that it's not something that has come out of our heads. This is a part of mythology as well. My very good friend, Dwayne Carpenter, has a site, a very good website, where he's an artist and he puts together a lot of psychological as well as esoteric material. And the first time I met him, I was in Boston doing my master's with this, and he had an old-fashioned machine, and he started to spin this machine, and we see these colors all performing together, and they looked like that. That's what he had with an old-fashioned machine in the late 80s. Okay, now he's perfected it with digital stuff. So his stuff is amazing. It is an absolute amazing. I can't get movement. I don't know how to do any of that stuff, but on his websites, you can. If you look, Dwayne Carpenter, I don't recall the name of his website, but it'll show up. Something, yeah. Dreamweaver, I think you're right. So it'll show up and you can see so many wonderful things that he has done in collaboration even with other people. So I'll move through his work rather quickly. So again, this would all be moving if you were to see his site. So you have the rays. We'll talk about them in a minute, but I just want to show you how he's put them all together. He's put the composite of the 7 rays down here. Then he starts initial rotary motion, and full rotary motion brings you to that picture that I had at the beginning. And everything rotates, you know, like the earth rotates, everything rotates. You flush the toilet, it rotates. Everything rotates in this direction. What are the seven rays? The seven rays are taking light and just putting it through a prism, and you get all the colors of the rainbow. Those are the seven rays. And we only have this much sliver of us of the spectrum that is available. Our ability to see is only this much. This is all we see. The torus, you know what the torus is? The torus is the movement of energy as it goes through our earth, right? It moves up and down, it moves in and down. So this is the movement. The same it applies to us. Energy moves down through us and around, and up through us and around. That's why many new age applications say, make sure your feet are planted on the earth, because the energy does go down to the earth, back up, and we receive it from above, down. We also transmit it the same way, going in both directions. That's called a torus. So the seven rays, you can see it all here, yes, may be regarded as a band of seven colors circling and continuously shifting and moving through the planes, which I know you may or may not know what I'm talking about, to their originating source. And their originating source, you know, what is their originating source? Is it the system itself? Is it beyond the system? Like, we don't really know. We just know that it comes into the Ursa Major, into the Big Dipper, from the Big Dipper to the sun. Here's this next picture. No, let me go to the next one. No, there we go. And it goes to the seven stars, into the various constellations, into our sun, from our sun to the planets, and from the planets down to the earth, is the way in which the energies move. So now I got to go back. Did I go too far in the wrong direction? Yeah, I think I did. Yes, I think I went to the wrong direction. So there you go. So there's one life, which is a divine triplicity. It's talked about in every religion. There is spirit, there's consciousness, there's form. There is God, there is soul, there's the Holy Spirit. There is Vishnu, Brahma, thank you. Shiva would have been first. Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma. And it goes on and on. Even in the Hebrew religion, all the religions speak of this triplicity. So this is the divine triplicity. In all ancient scriptures and writings of Plato, those who have guided humanity down the ages refer to the seven as seven aeons, seven emanations, the seven spirits before the throne of God, the seven rishis, and it goes on and on with sevens. The seven rays are referred to as qualities as opposed to characteristics. Quality has, well, for the moment, why don't you shut your eyes? Imagine red. Can you feel its energy? Going into a red room, all red. Now walk out, go into a blue room. Can you feel its energy? Right? Okay, you can open your eyes. So is there a difference between the two? That's quality. Okay, so the energy is quality, and that's why many hospitals will paint yellow or green, because that speaks of healing energies, as opposed to red. A hospital would never paint walls red. There's too much dynamism, there's too much energy in red, right? That is quality, not characteristic, quality. So each ray has its own note, its own sound, its own vibration, and its own color. All those words are really synonymous. Whether the vibration of red is different than the vibration of blue. The color of red is different than the color of blue. The note, if you could play the note, let's say G is different than C. They have a different sound. Each ray has its particular energetic. Okay. So there's more talk here about the rays. There's another torus. I don't know if we need to read this. It's not that important, but just to show you more stuff that Dwayne Carpenter has done. So I've shown you this slide. Okay, so this is an important slide. So the sun is made up of those three aspects of deity that we talked about: life, soul or consciousness, and matter, or intelligence is another way of saying matter. There's intelligence in matter itself. Matter is everything that we can touch and see, and our senses can lead us to. That's all matter. So you have the first aspect, which is the will of God, the second aspect, which is the love of God, and the third aspect is known as the intelligence of God. Right? All of those you can't really separate. We're nitpicking here. We're taking things apart in order to understand the whole. Well, all of it, the sun, is made up of these three aspects. These three aspects then radiate down, right? And they are transformed into lesser vibrations, so to speak, and they become the three rays of aspect, with the similar names. The first ray is known as will and power. The second ray is known as love, wisdom. And the third ray is known as active or abstract intelligence. Similar qualities, but it's already been reduced from what the sun would have hung on to or had within it. From the third ray, all the other four rays emanate or spring from. And it's known as the rays of attribute, because these four rays are attributes of the first three. They come from the third one. Now, can you name sevens? What are sevens?
Notes.
7 notes. Say it a little louder so that the
So notes on the scale. Days of the week.
Days of the week. Come on, guys. This is not hard. Chakra, 7's chakras. Go on. This is not hard. If I want to really ask you something hard, I'll tell you. Come on, 7's. Come on, you can do it.
Wonders of the world.
Good. There you go. The chakras, the wonders of the world, the 7 states of consciousness, the 7 deadly sins, and so on. And I named a few when I started. The 7 before the throne of God. I mean, it goes on and on and on. 7 is a lucky number. You throw a dice, you know, when you gamble. 7 is the number, right? 7, not 5, 7. So here are the names again. Now, I want to go through with you what the constitution of the human being is. What is our constitution? What are we made up of, right? So the first thing we all know is our personalities. I look at you and I know Melissa, I know your personality. You look at me and you can see me, you can see my form. This is my form. You also see my energy. You see a lot about me. So the personality is what is in our faces as we meet people and we get to know them. And that is composed of 3 vehicles or 3 bodies or 3 parts. What is it? The most obvious is the physical etheric. What is the etheric? Is the vitality. It's the vitality we get from the food and the sun. And it underlies the physical. If you don't get enough vitality, you're tired, you're physically fatigued, you can't do very much if you don't get the vitality that you need. So you have the physical emotional body, you have the physical etheric body, the emotional body and the mental body make up the personality. So those are 3, the personality is number 4. Then you have the soul, right? And above the soul, if we're going to use an ascending way of looking at things, above the soul, you would have spirit or the monad. So spirit is the life. It's life itself. And it is that which makes everything else happen, right? From the top down. So you have spirit, soul, and personality. I kind of covered the 3 fields that make up the personality. These 3 bodies are aligned, coordinated, and the personality is the controlling factor of all these three lesser ones, which are the physical etheric, the emotional, and the mental. And this is what most of our exposure is all about. It's about our personality. It's the personality that wants. It's the personality that has the desires. It's the personality that thinks and analyzes. It's all that is part of one's personality. Very seldom do we ever talk about the essence of who we are, our higher self, our true nature, which would then be soul. Okay, very little talk about that. It's all personality oriented. Every ad on TV, personality oriented. Spirit is our true being. It's our essence. It's the principle of life. And it is the intermediary between personality and spirit. So it's like the father, spirit, the mother, the intelligence of God, got together, married, and then produced a son. The son is the soul or consciousness. It's the middle principle between the upper and the lower. Are you with me? Okay. These fields, so the soul is, let's just look at the words here. It's magnetic. It draws and pulls the personality forces towards the spiritual. And we use the model of upward. You know, it makes sense, right? So it pulls us up to the spirit, to knowing our true essence, away from the material. And soul, it comes from the heart. See, I always use this image, hands out, right? Forming a cross. So we receive from above down, and we serve out from the heart. The heart is the center, and the soul expresses through the heart, right? Make sense? Right? Down and out. We serve, we do, we help. We use our body, our hands. So turn to the person next to you and talk about these three aspects. What are they? And we got to do this fast. Right. Do this fast because I got to get through this with you. You can work in threes. That's fine.
All right.
We actually Tuesday class. So yeah.
What are the three aspects? Spirit, soul, personality, right? Or God, which is father, soul, mother. Spirit, soul, consciousness, matter. Those are the three aspects of deity. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this. Okay, I want your attention back here. We're going to do a lot of this where you're going to have to explain, so you got to pay attention. Okay, so here's another picture of the human constitution. And all I've shown here is the vibration, the density. We start with the outer form, which is the densest of them all. It's the physical etheric. Then we move inward. What is of a higher frequency, of a higher vibration? Your emotional, your sentient, your feeling nature. We move a little bit more further in as far as vibration is concerned, and the mental is a higher vibration than the other two. Then we move in and we get the personality. Personality is the integrating, coordinating principle that holds all these three together, right? You're with me? And then you have the soul, and then you have spirit or monad, as it applies to the human man. Like in monad, you have the word man there, with the letters moved around. Okay, got it? Got it? All right, so I'm just repeating everything in a slightly different way because I want it to penetrate your consciousness. I want you to get it. So you have the personality vehicles, the mental, this is where we think, this is where we compare, this is where deduction and induction occurs, this is where we discriminate and we interpret. It's all done in the mind, in the mental. Then you have the emotional, which is made up of our attachments. I desire that, I would like that, I want to have that, I have to have that. It's all part of your emotional desire. And people who are attached to their spouses, to their friends, it's all the desire nature. That is an attachment. So all the attachments that we have in the world. I love my comforts. That's an attachment. I love a coffee in the morning. That's an attachment. That's all part of our desire nature. But it's also our aspirations to something more, something higher. It still comes from the emotional. It's still looking upward. And of course, the physical is the physical structure, your form, your movement, your action, how coordinated you are or are not, your senses, and of course, your vitality. So you have 5 here. Michelangelo's depiction of 5, so you have 5 bodies. You have your physical, come on, you can say it with me, your physical.
Physical stationary,
Yes, thank you.
emotional,
Right,
mental,
right. Personality that holds it all together. Then soul. Those are the 5 we concentrate on. We don't go up to spirit. Through me, the Christ said that through me you shall know the Father. Through me, through soul, you will know the Father. You will know spirit. So there's no point talking about spirit at this point. We have to first know the soul. Through me, you shall know the Father. Okay, so we talk about for the 5. By the end of the weekend, you will know the 5 that you are. So here's another way of seeing the human constitution. The lower triangle is made up of what we just talked about. The 3 parts, bodies, vehicles, whatever you want to call them, of the personality. The middle principle is the soul, which is then part of the higher triad, which we're not going to go into, but the higher triad consists of higher mind, which is known as manas. It consists of higher, it's not emotional, but there's a link between that, which is all-knowing, which is just getting things, understanding things. It's all buddhi, it's called buddhi. And then the highest of them all is atma. And this is made up of, is called the spiritual triad. Just to expand it a little bit more is why I'm giving this to you, but there's not going to be any homework on that. You don't have to answer questions on that, just to give you a little bit more. Got it? Got it, everybody?
Yeah.
You got it? You're with me still? I haven't lost you. Okay, good. We've gone up through our introduction. Wonderful. Okay, so now, yes.
Can you comment on colors on the rays? Because I noticed that different group have a different color assignment. Like even I noticed that Master DK and then Michael Robin, they have a different color. And then with Madame Blavatsky, they have a different color.
Well, first of all, the whole New Age movement has different colors. There's so colors are the very confusing thing. It's not seen. Oh, how do I do this? I've got to go from one file to another file, and I've just opened up the other file, but it's not projecting. So how do I do this?
I can keep talking on color if you want.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so
Well, a lot of people
I think you have
use
to
the rainbow
share
color,
this screen.
right? But it's a very
So,
simplistic way of looking at the
go there
rays,
again,
because the way
and then
DK
select this.
describes the colors.
That's not it.
Kind of energetic.
That's not it.
Oh,
And even for the
That's
6th
not it.
grade, they'll give 2 colors.
oh,
It gives.
and it is open.
Well, I lowered this.
Rose, and it gives like a sky blue color. And you'll pretty much always get indigo for the 2nd grade.
Maybe, yeah.
But he did say that the colors were.
We're gonna go,
bright.
why is this up here?
So
Because I did not do this. But wait a minute, maybe it should be up here. This is what it should be. So am I sharing with that? No.
Okay, so back to this,
It's like
yeah,
different
share,
layers of those
and then
colors.
click on this one,
Okay,
Based on
then share.
how you're looking
There
at
we
those
go.
rays.
okay, so wait a minute, I gotta still go into, no, I'm not ready to share yet.
Actually tell us,
I gotta
you know.
open that up so that I can go into,
That's the shocking. part of this.
how do I do this? How do I go back? So that I can open it up to,
Is it here in the screen sharing?
yeah, but I need to open that up, you know what I mean? I gotta go back to,
Oh, so it's probably in this program.
yeah,
full
exactly,
screen?
yeah,
Okay, so share, yeah, and then here,
but it's not, once you've shared it, it doesn't allow you to do anything. So I gotta do that beforehand.
Maybe like zoom in here.
No.
This program I'm not familiar with because
No, this is not it. That's not how you do it. Okay, let me just go back to this.
There's one.
This isn't working. So let me go into,
Yeah. See, that's.
I can turn this, I can shut this one down.
That's why.
And then I have to go and save. Then I want to go into the second one, which I've opened up already. It's right there. Then I need to, then I need to go into, so no, it's not letting me do the open screen, like the
the
full
full
screen.
screen. Are you sure it's not up here, like one of these?
No. It's always at the bottom of,
I'm gonna see if maybe Frida can come, just because she might be familiar with a map.
I don't think so.
Oh,
She
no.
doesn't have a map. Let me turn this down.
I can't remember which.
Shit, excuse me. So this is opened up on the, it's here.
Mhm.
So this is here, and it is not allowing me to go to full screen.
See, we can see it.
Okay, I guess we'll have to leave it like that. I have no choice. Okay, careful.
Yeah. He does a really great one with the planes and the rays, and then he rotates them, and you see them all blended together. Sorry, you go ahead.
Okay, so with the colors, first of all, there's what we call exoteric colors. They're the ones that we see with our eyes. Then there are the esoteric colors. They're a whole different set of colors. So some of the material that's out there has confused the two. For example, for the third ray, it's usually green as the exoteric color, but black is the esoteric color. It doesn't come out, right? The mind is normally depicted as orange. But the mind can also be blue. If you have a fifth ray on the mind, it's blue. So it's a very confusing topic, the whole thing with the colors. But I tend to stick with what we've gotten from DK. And the obvious colors are the ones that I've talked about, which I think we will be talking about this as we look at each ray more extensively. Okay, now I can't seem to get rid of the margin here. So you guys are view. Maybe I should talk to someone who's technically implied, not like me. Get rid of the thumbnails.
Yeah.
Hide the sidebar. There you go. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Okay, so this way you won't know what's next. Okay, so it's called the first ray, ray one. One is the closest to deity in a way, right? Because we start from the top, we work our way down. So it's the highest vibration. It's the one that is very, very similar to the first aspect of deity, which is the will of God. So this is already brought down. So it's looking at the will or power. It's will or power. We don't say of God anymore because it's not the three aspects of deity. This is the first ray. So it's will or power. What is the energy like? Well, we know it's strong. Will is strong. Power is strong. It's direct. Goes straight across, right? Direct. Forward moving and piercing. Those are all attributes of energy that belong to the first ray. Its quality is essence. We talked about essence being from spirit. Well, first ray has essence in it. People that are first ray are principled. They have a quality that they don't bend from what the essence, from what the principle of things are. It's purpose driven. It's centralized. It's like a dot. And from that dot, you can have an explosion, right? From that bomb is a centralized thing. You can have power and explosion. It is all about synthesis. Synthesis brings everything together into one little dot, so to speak, right? Using that as a symbol. So a symbol is a seed from a seed, like a dot. You can have growth, you can have openness and moving forward. A line goes straight across. A lightning bolt is a terrific amount of power, electricity in it, energy in it. An arrow and a sword is seen as a symbol for the first ray. An arrow just flies right across, right? Very, very straight. And the sword can see as a division. It can split something in half. It can cause a lot of destruction and you know, killing and all that other stuff that goes along with sword. And an eagle, why an eagle? An eagle flies high. Well, it would be any of the birds of prey, actually, where they can see with their eye everything that's out there, and they can hone into their prey, just like that. Right there. They have the full overview of everything. And that is why first-rate people are CEOs. They are the ones in government who are supposed to be able to see everything that's happening in the country. They are the ones that can make these decisions because they have the world, the bird's eye view, as they say. Got it? Are you with me? Okay. So now all I'm going to do is move very quickly through about 30 different slides so that you see the energy of the first ray. Okay, very little talk on my part. Can you see okay where you are?
Yes.
Okay. It requires so much strength to be created in this way, to have that kind of stone, that kind of rock, that kind of hardness. That's first ray.
You need music to go with it.
I know.
You need some good
First ray music.
Yeah. Ride of the Valkyries or
It's,
something.
yeah, exactly. Come on, what am I doing wrong here? Wrong side. I can always talk.
No, we like it.
Why is a lion considered first ray?
Lord of the Jungle.
Mhm. King of the jungle. Right. And you know what? The lion likes to sit on a mound high and has the females doing all the work, going out for the kill. And it rests. It doesn't put out too much energy. It's too busy thinking. You can see how it's being used in so many different ways, just so that you get the idea of what first ray is all about. The idea of singularity, of being isolated and not needing anybody else is very first ray. I can do this on my own. I don't need, that's why the president of, or the CEO of a corporation can do it, even though they have a team of advisors, they're the ones that can do it themselves. They don't really need, truly need. Hey, got it? You all know first ray now. Okay, so as we've said earlier, how does it demonstrate the seed, the idea of entrance into life of a baby being born? That action is a first ray action. It's the beginning and ending of cycles. An earthquake, a volcano, an atom bomb, a revolution, very first ray. So we talked about the symbols before. There's a few more here. A mountain, a point, like I said, comes down to a dot. And the various animals, any of the birds of prey, an elephant, because of its size and its magnitude and its strength, a lion, a ram, a bear. And the countries associated with the first ray. P stands for personality, S stands for soul. So Germany, think of what Germany has done in the past in history. First-rate country. Japan, Does anybody know what the flag of Japan is?
I think so.
But it's a red first ray dot, right? I mean, how perfect is that? Great Britain, again, it used to be it was a kingdom, is that the word we use? Empire, that's the word, empire, the empire, it just took over the world. And India, as a soul, is also a first-rate country. Institutions would be government, politics, the military, the police, the enforcement factor. That's the part of the police that would be first rate. And the Roman Empire, you see the word empire here. Vocational tendency would be politicians, CEOs. Any position of leadership, such as a king, a dictator, the leaders of a military, authority, fascism, all of that is first rate. Government, I've got military in here twice, law enforcement, construction and demolition. An adventurer who's constantly wanting to explore and do dangerous things like mountain climbing and so on. The various personalities that we are familiar with over the centuries. Some of the names would be like Margaret Thatcher. She was known as the Iron Lady, correct? Winston Churchill, Napoleon Bonaparte, Abraham Lincoln. And if you see his face, is very first rate, very, very structured, dour, like very serious looking. Franklin Roosevelt, Adolf Hitler. Well, you can read the rest. You don't need me to basically tell you what's on the screen. So you got the idea, first rate. Let me see if there's any more here. Yeah. Learning style, independent, persistent, not dependent on precedent. Precedent follows rules, right? There's a precedent for this, we'll follow it. They don't follow, they'll blast through and create their own. Eager to excel, able to grasp basic principles. Teaching style is through awakening and shaking up. One of the things that I learned when I went for my PhD in this is how to counsel. And depending on the ray, your ray style, well, depends on how you counsel. Well, my sister is a first-rate personality, and we were partners with in our teaching and in our center that we had. And she did a lot of counseling, and she would literally shake people up. She would just wake them up. And that was never my style because I don't have first ray in me. She would wake them up. So, I mean, you could really see the difference in the approach, and she's a first rate personality. So I love that. Encourages self-expression, is assertive, directive, promotes self-reliance, explains broad principles. They're very principled. They're purpose-oriented, these people. The gem is the diamond. It's known as the hardest gem that we have. The planets that distribute the first ray are the Sun, Vulcan, Pluto. And without knowing astrology, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But anyway, that's what's there. The zodiacal signs are Aries, Leo, and Capricorn. First ray. The day is sun, the sun, day, and plants, tiger lily. I didn't make this up.
Tiger lily, that makes no sense to me, but okay. Maybe because it has the word tiger in it.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. We've just talked about that. And let's see if there's anything else here. Yes, why this whole thing isn't being shown, I don't know, but something is being left out a little bit. Where would I find it here? This is what I wanted in the first place, full screen. It's supposed to be down here.
This button.
This?
You just hover over the green.
The green. Oh my. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What's your name? Ashish? Thank you, Ashish. Appreciate that. That's what we need as soon as we move to the second ray. I'll need your help again to set it all up. Okay, so you should have this because that's your takeaway. All right, so we're going to go through that because it's important to understand the strengths and the weaknesses. Now, we can say positive and negative, but it's not the best way to say it. So we say strengths and weaknesses. Now, no one person has all of these, characteristics. No one person, but you can have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, right? So strengths are dynamic power, the will and courage, fearlessness, truthfulness arising from fearlessness, independence, and the power to initiate. Why initiate? Initiate is starting something. Why do they have that ability?
I would say coming through Aries, but maybe that's not
Well,
right.
remember, it's the highest vibration, and so they can get the idea, they can get the stuff, and they're not afraid to start something. They have fearlessness to begin with, right? Power to direct, to lead, or to govern, strong sense of purpose, large-mindedness. They have the overview, large-mindedness. Some people can have first ray in the mind, not in their personality. Some people have it in their personality. The odd person can have it in their physical form, and we'll talk about all that. But I want you to just have the idea of what these energies are like. Synthesis, strong one-pointed focus, power to centralize, wisdom to establish, uphold, or enforce the law. They usually are the ones that create the law. Hi. Come on in. They usually are the ones that can create the law. They get the idea and they can create the law. They are not the ones that carry out the law. They create the law. Got the difference between the two? Those that carry out the laws are different ray. The ones that get the law, they have the idea of what it should be like, or they have the overview. Oh, you know what, this village needs some rules and needs a law to do this, this, and this, right? This is how they can create. So understanding of principles and priorities, power to liberate. First ray does not want to be shackled, does not want to be imprisoned, wants freedom. First ray, just like the eagle flying, free, not attached. Singularity, remember, single, not attached, free. So then they will have many of them will have a mission to liberate others that are imprisoned, that are being quashed and squashed. The power of beneficent destruction. Destruction is not always negative. Sometimes you need to destroy a shack in order to build a new edifice on it, right? Weaknesses. Well, power hungry. We've seen a lot of that. Domination. Destructive, unnecessary, or inhumane. Again, we've seen lots of that. Anger and violence. Unrelenting ambition. Hardness and cruelty. Control and suppression. They do like to control, they have the finger on everything, right? Impatience. Obstinance. Excuse me. Excessive pride. Separative and isolative. This is not the energy that brings together. This is the energy that stands alone. Arrogance, willfulness, and impersonal reactions. There isn't that empathy, it's the way it has to be done. I don't care. Like I've just heard on some of these videos. It doesn't matter if we kill all these people, as long as we carry out blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is all I have on first ray. So let me see if I can get out of here and go on to the next one.
So we should be jotting down any characteristics.
And you should be talking to each other about some of the qualities of the first ray while I'm trying to do this, and I will have you help me. Okay, so now I want to go to the second ray, right?
Mhm.
Okay, I turn that on.
Yeah,
That's
that's
there.
up there.
That's there.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
And now you can full screen.
Full screen.
The green. Down. There.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
That's a lot of these.
Talk to each other.
I'm so shocked. That's so wonderful. It's wonderful.
And like, I mean, they talk that I've been up there since after, so this is. Now I can see that. I mean, we're living in a time when this is out there in the world all around us. Whether you're looking at Trump or you're looking at the wars that are going on. It's strange. Mars is red. Mars is more compassion. It's got a lot more
So that's raised by
emotional
3 and 7.
attachment to everything that it does. Therefore, it doesn't fall into this, which is can be cold. Actually, it's cold. Mars is hot.
Yeah, that's why you wanna.
Mars is another energy. We'll get to.
It's complicated. You
And land, isn't Mars energy land?
Where are they coming?
Mars is the planet.
Yeah.
No, Mars is the god of war. Mars is the one that carries out the fighting. Mars is the one that will fight with swords. Okay, guys, let's get together. You're gonna have to learn to speak fast like I do.
Okay.
Okay, so we're into the second ray, the ray of love, wisdom. Right off the bat, you should see such a difference in the energy. Love, wisdom versus will and power, right? Okay, so its energy is round. It radiates, right? Like the sun radiates. It's magnetic, so it does both. It goes out radiating and it also draws in. And it's receptive. Those are basically the way the energy is. And its quality is attraction, all right, because it magnetically attracts, just like a flower attracts the bees, right? It attracts. I'm giving you a hint as to what flowers are. Inclusion, it includes. It's cohesion. Cohesion sticks together. It's like glue. We stick together. And it's about illumination, lighting things up. Its symbols are circle, heart, right? The heart radiates. The heart is magnetic. And it's a spiral. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And why do we have an owl in there? Because we say wise as an owl. So the owl is in there. But spiral is very interesting because here you have spirit or the father. Here you have the mother. And how do you get between the two? Right? It's this rotary action that gets you in between the two. So spiral movement is the second ray. So every time you see a toilet and the water goes down the toilet, it's a second ray action. Okay, so the colors for second ray are indigo blue is its exoteric color, and light blue like the sun, like the sky or the water when you see it, when the way the light reflects it and it's light blue is the esoteric color of second ray. So now we're going to go into more and more slides where I'll talk less. Even these pussy willows are second ray. They're soft, they're the cottony like. You see, even the pussy willows, very second ray. So second ray nurtures. So when we have the mother image in all our history and stuff like that, that's second ray, mothering, nurturing, looking after, whether it's through food or whether it is through just holding them in that environment of a safe space. That's second ray, a safe, see my hands creating a circle, creating like a cave, creating like a womb, right? So whereas the first ray was cold, cool, second ray is warm, not hot, warm. So the Buddha represents contemplation, represents the wisdom side of the second ray. Remember, the name is love, wisdom. So the Buddha represents the wisdom, whereas the Christ, well, I don't have the Christ here, but maybe I do in another one, represents the love part of the second ray. So you have the Buddha and the Christ, and they both always are second ray images or recognition symbols. There you go, the spiral. Talked about the colors. This is not the best picture of light, but it's supposed to be bright, radiant light. But It's kind of isn't, but it's light. It's peaceful, it's soothing. So if you want nice, peaceful music, you put on second ray music, right? So second ray is about inclusion. It's about group consciousness. And you can always tell, well, I've been teaching for so many years. I could always tell where someone had not evolved enough to understand group consciousness, because they'd always interrupt, they'd always personalize, they'd always stand out in a group. That is not group consciousness. Group consciousness is being able to understand the needs of someone else as well as your own, and being open, receptive, patient within a group. Are you with me? Do you follow me? You got that? That's group consciousness. And more of that, we're hearing more about all of that right now in our vocabulary and in the various things we see. Now, obviously, a deer gets frightened very easily. Second rays can get frightened very easily. It's the teaching ray. It's the ray that teaches it's a way of nurturing, when you teach. And that's why you have good teachers and teachers that aren't so great. It has to do with their ray. Not all teachers are second ray, but those that are really know how to impart their information in a way that someone else will get it without me having to say, did you get it? So anyway, that's the teaching ray, is the second ray. It's in the healing professions, nursing, doctoring, looking after. So even though Virgo doesn't quite convey the second ray immediately, Virgos are very well known as nurturers and working in the medical field and distributing the second ray. They can feel overwhelmed very easily. See, the best way to give you this is, think of a sponge. A sponge absorbs, right? So second ray is the ray of attraction. It attracts. So if there's so much energy going on and all of that is attracted to the second ray type, it can be overwhelming, right? And therefore, so many second rays have become, if they have second ray as a personality, not as a soul, as a personality, they like to be a wallflower. They like to be away from the public. Don't look at me, because it's just too much for me. A second-rate personality. They can be timid and they can be worrisome. Yeah, they just don't like the limelight. A feeling of inadequacy is also very much a second rate, because it wants the whole. Remember, the circle is one of the symbols for the second ray. It wants all of it. And the wisdom side of it is the part that where second ray studies and learns and collects books and doesn't get enough information and wants more and more and more. That's second ray as well, So they can feel inadequate when they realize, oh, this person knows so much about that whole area. I don't know that. So it can be like a feeling of total inadequacy. Oh, I've experienced that. I know what that's all about, that inadequacy. So you get that? Everybody's understanding that? Good. Okay. So the Buddha represents the second ray wisdom part, whereas the Christ represents the love. Okay, we're into strengths and weaknesses. So pull out your sheets. This is where, if you need to write notes, it's a good place to write your notes as we go through some of these things that are not that clear. Yeah.
Good or bad.
And I should have gotten you to talk about that to maybe I still will as we switch. It's only 5 after 10. So can you hang in there for another half an hour and then we'll have a break?
Mhm.
Okay. So the strengths for second ray. Understanding. I understand what you're saying. I really do. That's second ray. Empathy is second ray. Wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom comes from experience, having experienced and learned from those experiences. That's what wisdom really is. Empathy, sympathy, compassion, sensitivity. Now, sensitivity is good. there's no such thing as good and bad here, because it all depends on how we appropriate that ray, how we use that ray. So sensitive may be very good because you're very sensitive to someone else's needs. But sensitive is also, I'm too sensitive. Everything bothers me, right? All depends on how it's used. Receptivity and impressionability. So you're receptive, you take it all in, and you get impressed, right? You get impressed with ideas, with what people say, with what you read, this article, this ad on TV. Impressionability. The love of pure truth. Patience, as opposed to first ray, which was quite impatient. Inclusivity. So they will include a lot of people to dinner, or they made arrangements with a couple and then they say, well, I've included another couple, to the other people's chagrin, maybe, but it's inclusive. They just keep including, right? Sometimes they have to learn where the boundaries are. Second ray has to learn boundaries. Pisces, by the way, second ray. And we say in Pisces, you're in the water, you're immersed in the water. Well, there are no boundaries in the water, right? And so where does that stop? So Pisces are very sensitive, very easily overwhelmed, very, very much absorbing all of that energy, which is emotional, which is water tends to represent emotions. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Aspiration for a completed point of view. And again, the circle, a completed point of view. Tact. They're very careful not to try to hurt somebody else. So they're tactful in how they say things, what they say. And serenity. They like calm, not that staccato, not that, strong vibration. Like the blue, I made you shut your eyes. You had a sense of what the blue feels like. Second ray likes that. Power to teach and to illuminate. Do you see that? That's a form of illumination, you see. I'm using words to illumine something. We use that, seeing, the light came on in my mind. I understand. Again, it's all, it's illumining. It's all mental. Power to heal through love. Any questions on this? Okay. The weaknesses. So I've got divided them up from love and from wisdom. The love of being loved. This is a biggie. Do you guys know what the word glamour is in these circles? This is one of the strongest glamour for the second ray, which is doing things because they want someone else to like them, doing things to be loved. Second ray falls into that trap so much. The love, people pleasing, exactly. Sometimes even being a doormat, because second ray wants to be liked, wants to be loved. So the love of being loved. I spend a lot of time thinking about that. Attachment, second ray likes their comforts. Second ray likes to be close to other people, and they make good girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever. There's an attachment there. Oversensitivity. Now, this is a negative, by the way. This is the weaknesses. So I'm not using these words in positive ways. I'm trying to give it to you in a negative way. It's not always negative, but that's this part of the teaching. Oversensitivity and vulnerability, like a naiveness. You fall into hearing things and taking it in, being impressed by what you hear. You become vulnerable. Lack of self-confidence, again, because of the overwhelm, you're absorbing too much. Inferiority complex. Non-assertive, passive, fearful or cautious. Overprotective or guarding. So you can see the mother image, right? Overprotective of the children, overprotective of the self. That's why Cancer is very much related to the way that the nurturing part goes. Cancer has this outer shell, but the inside is so sensitive and juicy and sweet and all that kind of stuff. But the outer shell is protective of what the inner is. Same thing with parenting, right? over-inclusive, boundary issues, which I've already addressed, self-pity, feeling sorry for oneself, inadequacy, I know that one, love of comfort and security, attachment to comfort zones, slow to action. As a matter of fact, now in my old age, I don't like to sleep in someone else's home anymore. I like to sleep in my own. I'm attached to my comforts. I really am. So it's a problem, you know. Slow to action sometimes. They're not that cold and indifferent to others. Now, why do you think they would be cold? If this is the array of warmth and inclusive and magnetism, why would they be cold to others?
Fear.
Exactly. Because of that overwhelm and that fear of being not being able to handle it. So therefore they can be cold, right? Which is it's a contradiction to the way the ray is, but you can understand it, right? You can understand how that would work. Insulation, they insulate themselves, they guard themselves, right? And so from wisdom, some of the weaknesses: overabsorption and study, intellectual pride, and contempt for mental limitations in others. Now, I've experienced that. I know what that's like, because I remember, I've hopefully outgrown that, but I remember being in a supermarket and seeing how slow the clerk was and not understanding how to do all of that and how impatient I was getting. And even though I didn't think, she's not very smart, she hasn't got it together, I was thinking that, you know, like that was some of the stuff that went through my head. That is mental, that's contempt for mental limitations in others. And I don't know about you, but I think we've all experienced that to some degree, you know, where there's a form of judgment. We judge, right? So that's second ray does that. There's another ray that does that as well. But right now we're with second ray. Okay, any questions? Yes.
So, if somebody have a really, really strong ray makeup, let's say second ray, and then they know the weakness,
Right.
how to address the weakness? Because let's say if my second ray is so strong and then I'm very, very slow to action, then I try not to be slow. That means I'm denying my own action.
Not
Then can
necessarily.
create conflict.
Not necessarily, because a weakness can always be spiraled up to a strength. You can always make a weakness into a strength. What do you think you need the most in order to make that happen? What? I'm asking a question.
To make that happen.
Anybody?
Confidence in what the right action would be.
Not necessarily, because if you're not confident,
Uncertainty.
what do you think you need in order to spiral up that, as you see, I'm giving you all the clues here, as you see yourself in slow action, let's say, or not, what is it, what part of you needs to be activated in order to bring about change?
We need more will.
You need the will, but you need the observation first. You need to observe yourself. You need to see yourself. That's the very first thing. You need to be very present, observing yourself. Okay, I'm seeing that I'm doing that. I don't like that. I would like to be different. I would like to act in a different way. What do I need to do in order to act in a different way? And then answers will come to you. We're all smart. We're all smart. Answers will come to you, but you need to notice that first. You need to observe. So the observation is the very first thing. Then you need the will to carry out the very thing that you think you need to do. Got that? Yeah, got it? Okay.
Just like my thinking is like if that weakness attribute is inherent within me, and then and manifest it as a weakness, and then I try to override it, then I'm overriding my tendency, my own tendency. So it's like I'm rejecting myself.
No, not really.
No?
Again, every weakness can be spiraled up to a strength.
Okay.
So sometimes slow in action can be, okay, I need to think this out. I need to be slow in thinking this out before I impulsively react. See, second ray is more responsive rather than reactive. So that's a positive thing about slow action, you see? Is that's why I say you can spiral it up. It doesn't have to be slow in action to react. Oh, I should have done it faster. I should have done it differently. But sometimes that the slowness is a positive thing. So again, observing where can I make this different? Where is that suiting me? Where is that a positive thing? But you need to really observe. You need to be so present that it's not unconscious. Because
And so you need to say, is this procrastination or is this consideration of
correct,
situation?
right, right. Saying so conscious in the moment of what you're doing, what you're thinking, what's happening.
Yeah.
Being conscious, that's the most important thing. I mean, we've all been working on trying to stay conscious, but make an effort of being conscious in the moment. Okay, so any more questions before we move on? Animals, well, we've got animals here that are slow, like a turtle, right? Like a snail. A dove is usually known with peace, and that's another attribute for the second ray is the peace. A deer, a bluebird, a robin, a wolf. I don't know why a wolf, but a wolf, a dolphin, and a whale. And countries that Brazil is a second ray personality. The Tibetan tells us that Brazil will come into its own in the next human cycle, whenever that'll be. I don't know, thousands of years in the future. The USA is a soul, second ray soul. I believe Canada is also a second ray soul. And Great Britain is a second ray soul. Can you see the alliance with all these three countries? Because there's a tendency to resonate to like energies, right? Birds of a feather flock together, all that kind of stuff. So that we resonated together. So, and yet we all came from Great Britain, that second ray soul nation. And so there's a resonance there as well. So institutions that offer you second ray would be schools, universities, hospitals, healing centers, Red Cross, and USR, the University of the Seven Ray, which I was part of. Still am a part of. Vocational tendencies, teaching, psychology, psychotherapy, human resources, healing, nursing, and rehabilitation. Some people that represented second ray would be Robert Browning, Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Albert Schweitzer, Benjamin Spock, Yogananda, Dalai Lama, Florence Nightingale, Princess Diana. And the period of, we're told that the second ray was very strong during that period. Could be that that's when the Buddha was, that's when Confucius and Lao Tzu were. Pythagoras, Plato, Christ. And again, I have Princess Diana here, yeah. Okay. So I have some personalities that are second ray. Any more? That's it. That's it. Now you can turn around and talk to yourselves. What are the main characteristics of the second ray?
But I
So
kind of like to
you ask like
just
a
like
so mind, so like very good. Because not really like I kind of see how this.
But you,
Yeah, me too.
It's amazing how it's so wow. So, you can see that, you know, you do this. Like I was
Correct.
say that it is, but you probably, no, you see, of course you can.
Yeah, it's like,
And this is so, and it's wrong.
Okay, so let's wind that up. Okay, let's wind that up, guys. So I still want to give you a break around 10:30. It's 20 after. So let's move on. Let's move on, guys. Okay, so you got that. You know the first ray, you know the second ray really well. We'll do a little bit of the third ray. I think it'll be break time in about 10 minutes. Am I going too fast? I can feel I'm wound up, so I just want to make sure that I'm not overdoing it. Okay, third ray. I don't have all the names for the third ray here, but there are at least 3 names, if not more. There's creative intelligence, there is abstract intelligence, there is something else intelligence. Active, that's it, thank you. Active intelligence. So it's the only one of all of them that has so many names attached to it. Keep that in mind. Energy. It's the third. Remember going back to the 3 aspects of deity. You had the spirit or father, you had mother, and then you had soul in between, right? The mother is intelligence and it's matter itself. So this falls down to be the third aspect. It's still the 3 rays of aspects that we're dealing with here. This is the third aspect. So there's an energy of creativity associated with this and intelligence. Matter is intelligent, right? A plant knows what to do. Grass knows what to do. Animals know what to do. Even though we don't compare that to human intelligence, there's still an innate knowingness of what to do. So the energy is rotary motion. Rotary motion is just goes round and round and round and round she goes, and where she stops, nobody knows. It's a rotary motion. That's why you had the rotary motion, you had spirit, and then in order to get from down here to there, the only way is through a spiral, right? You got that image? Okay, this is rotary motion. It's matter. It's circuitous, goes around in circles. It's weaving, right? And it's adaptive. It'll adapt itself to anything, right? Well, you'll see that with all the various ways in which this intelligence plays itself out and manifests in the world. Its quality is activity, adaptability. That's another one. Adaptable intelligence. I think it's another name for it. It just goes on and on. Multiplicity. A lot of. Is there a lot of grass out there? Can you count the number of blades on the grass? Multiple. Everything is a lot of. Creativity. Again, a tree will find its way to go around a roof or around a pole. It's creative in the way in which it manipulates its way to exist. It's very, very adaptable. A symbol is a triangle. After all, it's the third ray, so a triangle would be a good symbol. A spider web, the weaving of a spider web. Money. What's the color of money? What's the color of the third ray? Got it. A bee, busy as a bee. This is a very busy energy. Okay. Okay. So I do have adaptability here, you see. Okay, symbols. Triangle, we've used all of that. The fluid use of matter. Money is, they say, is concretized energy. That's the esoteric name for it. It's concretized energy. But money flows, right? It goes from my pocket to yours, to your hands, to someone else's, to the bank, money moves, it flows, it's energy. And that's how third ray is. Exoteric color is black. Esoteric color is green. And our whole civilization falls under the category of the third ray. Everything around us, everything that's manifested is third ray. The previous solar system, and I know I'm going beyond and beyond here, the previous solar system, its mandate was for everyone to learn and to have intelligence and to learn what matter was all about. Matter was established in the previous solar system millions of years ago. In this solar system, what is it that is the mandate, Frida?
Consciousness.
Yes, or love. Love. Love and consciousness are synonymous. The mandate here is to learn love. It's a second ray system. The next system that's going to happen millions of years down the road is going to be to learn will, the will of deity. So you're starting with the intelligence, then the love, and then the will of deity. But we're living in a second ray system. Okay. Okay, so again, I'm not going to talk a lot, but I want you to get a sense of the energy. Can you see okay from where you
Yeah.
are?
Good enough. You can move around. Okay.
You know, I'm reminded in nature, people talk about the mycelium network of the mushrooms as they connect all the forests together. That becomes the forest's, you know, nervous system.
Yes,
the brain.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Very great.
Okay, do you know what you're looking at here?
Well, and then-
You have enough here? Multiplicity, manyness. Third ray. Manipulate is not necessarily a negative word. We have negative connotations attached to it, but manipulate means just that, to move energy. I saw that, I was there. Okay, we're going to humanize the third ray. Skillful communication. So those that have third ray strong in their constitution have the ability to use words very effectively. So you'll get that in communication. And a lot of people that are in communication may have third ray on the mind, whether it's journalism, whether it's writing books, whether it's really good in the way in which they use words. You know, you go to a lecture sometimes and you see the intelligence of the way these sentences have been put together. It's like I'm sometimes so impressed when I watch a video of a very smart person, you know, and I see how the words have been put together. It's you know, highly intelligent. Michael Robbins, third ray mind. I mean, he was prolific in the way in which he put down words and understood words. Anyway, power to manipulate thought, to weave, and to be flexible in the mind. Now, it's got the word science here, but it's not really the science part that we're looking at. It's the investigation of principles and concepts of science, right? Which is not science per se. It's not lab. It's not working with test tubes and all of that stuff. It's the principles involved in that. There's a distinction here. You getting that? Okay. It's the mathematics, it's the concepts, it's the quantum physics. Quantum physics, that is, I always look at optometrists and eye doctors. They've had to have physics. They've had to go through physics in school, which I found unbelievably hard. That is third ray. And quantum physics, concretizing the abstract. They can take the abstract and concretize it and make it usable, right? Philosophy. Well, I'm involved in philosophy, even though I don't have third ray, but it's okay. Astrology, conceptual and complex is what astrology is. And time, understanding how time works. Business is a whole other part. Now, remember, it's got so many different parts to it, the third ray. It's the business, it's commerce, it's the use of money. It's the people that are involved in conglomerates, in creating a business. In order to create the business, you have to have the vision, you have to have the thought, you have to understand how it's going to work out before you can create it, right? You've thought about it. And the production of cultures and civilizations. Everything that's manifested is third ray. Economics is an abstract concept, third ray. The value of something is flexible and adaptive, set by desires and the importance at the time. For example, cinnamon was highly valued several hundreds years ago. Now it's bought easily in any store. Right. And during that period of time, that gave it value. So we're going to go through more pictures here. It takes that which is abstract and makes it known. It takes ideas and turns them into projects, inventions, cultures, philosophies, economic systems, and biodiversity. This is the other part of the third ray, right? China, third ray country. Think you have third ray?
Yeah. Abstract mind.
I got something to move. It's the motion, it's the movement. Okay. So the animals that we've chosen are the snake, sly, spider, fox. No, sly was for fox. My eyes saw that first. Sorry. Spider is the weaving. Cat, a bee, an ant, a beaver, and a weasel. Country. The personality of China is third ray. I used to sell real estate, and if I ever had to negotiate, and there was someone from China at that time, there were a lot of Chinese people, and it was like so difficult to negotiate because they're so good at that, negotiations, trading, going back and forth. France as a personality is third ray. That's what they're very smart. They have, well, you haven't learned the fifth ray yet, but they have fifth ray as their soul, third ray as their personality, and those are all mental rays. That's where you had a lot of philosophers come out of France. And the Jewish people as a personality, third ray. And why do you think that where the Jewish people are, the Chinese move into? And the Chinese and the Jews trade in a very similar way. They're very money oriented, both of them, both groups of people. There's a resonance again there. Institutions, banks, financial institutions, the stock market, the advertising agencies. See, advertising agencies, do they always tell you the truth? Third ray can be very manipulative, right? Third ray can take a truth and skew it to suit their needs. They're very adaptable at taking something and making it work for them, right?
A loose relationship with the truth.
Exactly. And the internet is the World Wide Web. It's a web, right? I mean, thank goodness for it, but it's the third ray, and it's got positive things attached to it. It's got a lot of negative attached to it, like everything else. Vocational tendencies, philosophy, academia, business, finance, entrepreneurship, market speculations, advertising, a good lawyer. Not all lawyers are third rate, but some lawyers are, and they understand how to go to court and how to handle whatever they need to do in a way that will influence a panel or a jury. Salesmen, marketing, astronomers, linguists. I know people that can speak 8 languages, strategists, economists, and mathematicians. Persons, Rockefeller, Steven Spielberg, Woody Allen, Isaac Newton, as well as Isaac Asimov, Bill Gates, a model of truth, Donald Trump, Albert Einstein, Ken Wilber, and Voltaire, just to name a few. It can go on and on. The signs that distribute the third ray would be Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And the planets would be Saturn and the Earth. Look at the bounty of our Earth. It's not a barren planet. I think, you know what? Let's have a break. We'll do the strengths and the weaknesses afterwards. Is that okay? Or do you want to do them now while you're in the right mind? Now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be a little late for break. Strengths, activity, adaptability, mental fertility and creativity, mental activity and agility, theorizing and speculating, planning and strategizing. This is all mental stuff, so it would be third ray in the mind as opposed to the personality. Rigorous analysis and reasoning, excuse me, abstract thinking. I had a student who would write her papers, and I tell you, I didn't understand what she wrote. I could never understand it. It was so abstract. What is she saying here? My mind would say to me, I could not get it. That's a form of abstract thinking. Sometimes you go to lectures and you hear people talk and they're so monotonous and they go on and verbose and so many words. Third ray, it doesn't have that second ray magnetism, and it doesn't have that first ray of being direct and to the point. This goes on and on and on. Okay, understanding relativity, modifying and qualifying for the sake of accuracy and thought. And that was Michael Robbins, accuracy and thought. Skillful communication, facility with language, facility for understanding and handling money. I know a lot of cancers that don't handle money well. Business aptitudes, philanthropy, and power to manipulate. This is a positive here, power to manipulate. But power to manipulate could easily be a negative. A weakness is intellectual pride, tangential, going off on tangents like I did before, circuitous, criticism, because it's a mental ray, sees what isn't accurate, what isn't right, and can be very critical in the mind. Vague and complex thought processes, excessive thinking without practical action, perplexity and confusion. They can get so caught up in their own thoughts that they can't think straight anymore. It's just so interwoven. Absent-mindedness, and they talk about Einstein as not knowing where he put the keys down and being so absent-minded. Many times we have our glasses up on our heads, we don't know where the glasses are. That's a form of being absent-minded, but it doesn't mean necessarily you have third ray. But third rays are not necessary. If it's the abstract part of the third ray, they're not really grounded. They're up there in their mind. So they can be very absent-minded, which you need to have practical attention on life here, where the senses are, and their thoughts are in their minds all the time. Where am I? Hyperactivity. That's in the personality. Restlessness, wasted motion, and rush. Were you ever, Frida, in any of the classes where we had this girl that constantly came in with bags and she was always rustling through her bags?
Yeah.
Third rate. She was like a third rate personality that was just like all over the place.
But I also think of this spread too thin, people who are overschedule themselves.
That's right. That's right. Inaccuracy in practical detail. And that's what I was trying to get across before. They are so absent-minded that they're not practical. Careless, manipulative, and calculated. Opportunism and amoral materialism. It's like telling you that smoking is good. And for many years, they told you smoking is good. I can give you a more recent one, but I won't go into politics. Devious, deceitful, deceptive, circumventing the truth, chameleon-like, over-adaptable, and disorder and chaos. Okay.
Remember to circle any of the ones.
Yeah, you should.
For you. I can circle disorder and chaos.
Do I have any more here? No, I don't. Okay, guys, it's now 22:11. Why don't we go to be down here and sitting in your seats by 11, okay?